my dad was a witness, but he was always disfellowshipped, like several times. Me and my sister really took to the Kingdom Hall because that was a safe place for us. And when I found out that it was false, I just couldn't believe it. Like it literally rocked me to my very core.
So at some point, did
Yeah,
you have issues like your father with drugs and alcohol?
I did. Yeah, my daughter took my drug test for me. So that was the second time I got disfellowship. There will be a third time. So I'm following my father here.
This is Seeds of Awakening. I'm Amani's channel, the host. This is your home for higher frequency conversations around cultish-like stories and other spiritual-minded stories. My guest today was raised a Jehovah's Witness, and she says she was raised in complete dysfunction. She calls her childhood tragic. I'm going to bring her in just a second, but first make sure you smash that like, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification, or share this video if you find somebody else who may relate to the story. Alright, so let me bring the guest in. Her name is Laura Payne. She was raised in extreme dysfunction. Her father was involved with drugs. She adopted some of those behaviors and habits, but now has bounced back after she woke up. Laura Payne is in the house. So Laura, tell me, where are you from? Tell me about your youth and how were you raised?
I'm from East Texas, so I'm about 45 minutes from Louisiana and about 2 hours from Dallas. So I've got like Cajun going on in Southern Baptist town kind of area. So we're
And
in the
what
deep South.
what was your childhood like?
Oh man, my childhood was very tragic, unfortunately. A lot of Jehovah's Witness kids, there are some that have a really good childhood and have great stories, but unfortunately, mine does not fall in that category. So I was raised by a mother and father, and my dad was an alcoholic and a drug addict for many years. And I'm not really sure if he's even clean now, but he was the most volatile in the house. And I truly believe, like my mom, like she was a workaholic to escape his abuse. And so he was the one that watched me and my sister. I have an older sister, and we were the ones who started to take the brunt of all of that in our house. So
So was he physically abusive, verbally abusive? What kind of abuse was going on?
he both. So he would, yeah, he was a rager and he would yell and scream a lot. He would drink and he would get high to counteract the drinking. So he would use other drugs like cocaine and stuff. And he was really abusive. He would like put a gun to my mother's head whenever she would try to leave. And I remember like thinking that the police wouldn't even be able to help us. I remember picking up the phone one time. I was about 9 or 10, and thinking that the cops, like they couldn't do anything for me, and if I called the cops, then I would die because my dad was stronger than they were. Like it was pretty bad. He would slap us around, and I think there was something really wrong with him because he would do like really torturous stuff too. um, One of my first Kingdom Hall crashes, I went to a congregation, and before it got deleted off of YouTube, I was letting them know that my dad would hold me down and take off my fingernails with a razor blade. Yeah, and he would like tell me to count to 10, and I was like 4 years old, and I would just do it like super fast, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I had slammed it in a door. And so he was trying, I guess, to relieve the blood that was built under the nail. But my mom was a nurse. So in my mind, like now that I'm looking back, like, why didn't he just wait for my mom? Like, what part of him, like, I would never want to attempt that on a child. What was in him that he wanted to do that before my mom, who's trained professional, would come home, and do that. So that was very traumatizing. That happened actually 3 times, more than once. So,
And so was your mom a witness and your dad wasn't, or was he had challenges, or he just had things going on in his life
um,
that made him sort of alcoholic and on drugs?
So I think my dad was raised Christian, but when my mom and him married, they married really young, and she was a Jehovah's Witness. And so they got married at 17. And I think to please my mom, he went along with it because my mom is a very sweet, loving person. And I know my dad had problems in his childhood. His father was in the army and would do weird things to my dad. Like,
Yeah,
but they weren't Jehovah's Witnesses, but I think he was just messed up from like
right.
the Korean War and stuff. Like my dad had a pet rabbit, and my grandfather made him kill the rabbit and skin it and ate it for dinner. Like, so that's kind of where my dad was coming from.
That's
So
that has to be traumatic.
yeah, like I mean, I know we're laughing, but because it's just it's so strange. But
Yeah.
that's the kind of life my dad had, and I know he was kind of messed with his brothers messed with him a little bit too, and so my dad grew up in this really bad environment, and he took that into our in our household. So I think he used drugs and alcohol to like
Maybe numb his pain or something. Maybe he was medicating
yes,
himself or something. Yeah.
yeah, but then like his inner problems came out, through that. And then he ended up treating us that way, unfortunately. So it was kind of wild. My mom loves that man like so much. Like she did leave a couple of times, but she ultimately always went back to him. But yeah, so when we would go to the meetings, my dad was a witness, but he was always disfellowshipped like several times,
Mhm.
probably seven. I mean, it was an enormous amount of times. So me and my sister really took to the Kingdom Hall because that was a safe place for us, and we got love bombed there by all the other brothers and sisters. So to go to a meeting was like a treat because we got away from the screaming and yelling. And then when we got home, it was so late we could just go to bed and like bypass his temper. So I really did enjoy it, like as a kid, kind of like in that aspect. So it was my safe place, but so was school. I really enjoyed school as well, but that's another big problem with Jehovah's Witnesses because we got pulled out of school. I did in the 6th grade, and my sister got pulled out in the 8th grade.
Were you homeschooled after that?
Yeah, they bought some books, but they never taught us. There was not one moment that my mother sat down and said, "Here's your math, here's your English." It literally was books in a box, and that was it. We were left to it. Um, and we got out of it by going out in field service. So my dad, a great way to get rid of his girls, so he could go drink and do what he wanted. He would drop us off at the Kingdom Hall with like $2 a piece, and it would be like 8:30 in the morning. And the brothers and sisters were like, "Wow, he's so wonderful. He drops his kids off to go to field service every day, but really he's doing it so he could go, be with his addiction and get us out of the house." So we really just went out in service all the time. And I became a regular pioneer at the age of 17. No, 16, sorry.
It sounds like you're raised in like a really dysfunctional environment where it was violent at home. You're dealing with your father. You're getting
Yeah,
away, skipping to the Kingdom Hall, went on field service, not going to school.
yeah.
Did you end up getting baptized?
Yeah, I got baptized at 11, so
Okay.
very, very young. Yeah. That was the norm in our Pine Tree congregation.
I think
That was
that's
the
across the
norm.
board. I mean, I got baptized at 12, so I think that's the norm
Yeah,
with Jehovah's Witnesses.
yeah, yeah. It was very, very common, and they just ate it up like you were just thought, oh, that you're the prodigal child, because you got baptized so young. Back then, it wasn't as hard as it is now. Now there's like 200 questions. I don't know if it's still that way, but I know when my daughter got baptized at 12, it was literally like 200 questions in 2 hours each session for her. So I don't know, but for us, I don't remember it being that complicated. I felt like it was like 50 questions, maybe,
Yeah,
which
I don't even, I
yeah,
don't even,
now
as
it's
a,
like super hard.
yeah.
So I don't know. But
So you're 17, 17, 18 now, you're a young adult,
yeah.
pioneer. What happens after that?
So I got married to get out of the house pretty much. I met another Jehovah's Witness in a different congregation, of course, because you're only allowed to marry Jehovah's Witnesses. And you peruse the convention for your mate,
Those are the
like
good, those are the good times being a teenage boy.
those were like we dressed up to the nines, okay? Like to go to the district convention, like you had the nicest outfit you could possibly whip together. You did not care if you were in heels for 6-7 hours, blisters on your feet. You were going to look fine for the next ministerial servant or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You go walk in the
So
hall as soon as the assembly gets a little bored, take a little lap around the hall.
yeah. Oh yeah, that walk around that giant circle,
Yep.
and you would just, cruise with your friends, your girlfriends. Yeah.
Oh, you're bringing back memories.
That was it. And then like the best times were when they had the free food and
The cheese
the
Danish.
Danishes. Oh my goodness. And the pudding, the Danishes, the pudding, and the bagels and those sandwiches. Those sandwiches were the bomb. Like nobody
That's
could
so
make those
funny. That's
sandwiches.
so funny. Yes, those are good memories.
Yeah, those were great memories. So we would put the Danishes in our pockets. Now sometimes they were free, and I remember sometimes we had tickets.
Yeah, they had tickets up until some
They had
point, and then
tickets.
they were donation only after a certain point. I don't know if they still feed people or not. I haven't been around for
Yeah,
years, so I have no idea what they do now.
yeah. I don't either. I don't. I think you just bring your own lunch now.
Right? That's probably
As
what
far
he.
as far as like 2019 was, we just brought our own lunch. So
Yeah. Yeah, well, I go
that's
back
what
to like the 1980s and 90s, so
right.
that's years for me.
It was
Um,
the best.
so you found a husband, you get married, and then you have a kid, I assume?
Yes. I had a daughter at 18
Oh,
years
wow.
old. Yeah, very fast. Um, and immediately stopped pioneering. And then went to elder confession and confessed that we had been intimate before marriage and got disfellowshipped.
So you snitched on yourself after you got married and then got
Yeah,
disfellowshipped anyways for
yeah,
your past
because
sins.
yeah, because we had waited so long to say anything.
You weren't repentant, obviously, if you waited for
Right. Yeah, so I didn't get to have a baby shower with my first child. I remember my husband's friends. They were all like mechanics. It was literally all men at my first baby shower. It was
wow.
hilarious because we were shunned, obviously. Um, and then when I would bring my daughter to the Kingdom Hall, my mom would immediately take her. Like I wasn't worthy enough to be the mother. And I remember like a few years ago, an elder told me, he was like, thank God you had your mother, since she was the one who helped you so much to bring all these kids to Jehovah. And I was like, really?
Right.
I was the one there too. But yeah, they're very snobby, I guess, when you're just fellowshipped and you have a baby, like you're just not a capable person.
Exactly. Yep.
It was very strange. So she's now 27, that my first daughter, and I have a granddaughter now from her and her
Congratulations on
husband.
that. Very good.
Thank you. She's amazing. Yeah.
Awesome. So I imagine after you got this fellowship, you tried to win your way back into the Kingdom Hall. You went to meetings, you got reinstated, I would assume.
Yes. Right away, like within a year. Um, and then we had our second daughter, and then my husband started drinking, and
Hmm.
I was seeing signs of my father, and I freaked out. Um, and I left him, and it was kind of mutual. But then we came back together. And in the state of Texas, if you're pregnant, you can't get divorced. So I didn't let the court know I was pregnant through the divorce. We ended up getting divorced, and then I'm 4 months pregnant. So when I went to tell the elders, hey, the reason I'm pregnant is because I was pregnant through the divorce, because they're thinking, oh, you guys hooked up again, as ex-husband and wife. So then I got disfellowshipped again. So that was wild. Yeah.
So then what happens? This is crazy. All right, so then what happens?
Yeah, and that was the worst one because I was in a different congregation then, because I heard it
Right.
was easier. Like if you switch to a different congregation, you can come back sooner.
With a
So
fresh
these
slate,
people,
right?
yeah, so these people didn't really know me that well. They just knew of me. They were like 10 miles down the road, Eastman congregation. Well, this one brother, he just really had it out for me, Brother Bullard. And he was asking the most bizarre questions, like, okay, me and my ex-husband were married for 8 years,
Mhm.
and he was sitting there, a total of 8 years, whatever. But sitting there saying things like, "Did you use a condom? Did y'all consider having this baby? Was it an accident?" Like all these bizarre things, and I'm like, we were married, okay? Like, why are you asking all these intimate details? And it went on for like 2 hours. Then I sat outside the door for another 2 hours
While he
and found
decided to
out,
separate.
yeah, like while they're deciding, because they usually tell you right then and there,
Hmm.
if you're going to be disfellowshipped after you meet. And I was like, well, this is going on for 2 hours. It's got to be a good sign. And then they called me back in, and then they were like, no, you're going to be disfellowshipped again. And I found out later on that there was a brother in there advocating for us because he knew there was one that knew me and my ex-husband. And it was really, really close. I almost didn't get disfellowship, but he only could fight for so long, and then just gave in to the other brothers. So
It's so political too, it seems like.
yeah, yeah, it is. So that was the second time I got disfellowship. There will be a third time. So I'm following my father here, unfortunately.
Well, hopefully you didn't make it a 7 before you realize something is going on.
I know. His funny story on that, just like really quick. I know this is off topic, but I can't help it. So his literal reinstatement, he got high in the parking lot, smoked a joint, got high in the parking lot before his elders meeting. They asked him, he's telling me this story, by the way, because he's so proud of it. He's asking me, like, or he was telling me that they asked him when the last time he got high was, and he legit said in the parking lot before this meeting, and they just throw up their hands like, we don't know how to help you, but we're just going to reinstate you anyway and just pray the process gets better. So he actually got reinstated, even though that is a very rare.
Very, very rare. They're like, Jehovah can't help you anymore. You just have to figure it out yourself.
Exactly. They're just like, whatever at this point.
Yeah,
So yeah, that was crazy.
it's
But yeah,
crazy.
I did get eventually disfellowshipped again. Each time you come back, it takes longer. So it was like a year the first time, 2 years the second time, 2 to 3 years. The third time, I had lied to an elder about a relationship because I had been divorced again and remarried, and to the same husband. So it was a thing. But I lied to an elder about seeing another brother, and I ended up getting disfellowshipped. He did not. So I found that very interesting. I actually went out and field service the day before the meeting too, like to show them that I really did care and I didn't want this to happen. I had just made a mistake. But it doesn't matter. They don't care. So, but it turned out to be a blessing.
In what
So,
way?
because within the 2 years after that, um, I ended up just kind of like waking up one day. Like my second daughter, she was 17. Um, she was about to turn 18. And I don't know if you're familiar with this, but when you have a disfellowship parent at the home and you have a child that's about to turn 18, the elders and the sisters will start whispering in their ear that, when you turn 18, you need to leave your mom and get out of that situation. She's disfellowshipped. So they were encouraging my daughter to get ready to leave. Um, and that was devastating. It was a whole process. I won't go into it because the story is just really traumatic.
Mm-hmm.
But she did end up leaving with my sister. Um, and at the time, I remember telling her that I know I can provide for you physically, but if I can't provide for you emotionally and spiritually, then go ahead and go. Like I was kind of okay with it at first, thinking that I would get her back in the end because I had given her a car. She had a credit card. I paid for everything, and I thought she's going to go to my sister's house and not have all of that, and she's going to come back to me. But that's not what happened. So that was the last time I've ever talked to my daughter, besides a yelling match that we got into over me trying to hand her birth certificate. I was trying to tell her how much I loved her, and she just started yelling at me. So me and my daughter have never been able to like really say goodbye or hold each other or anything. Now she's 23, but that was wild. So when that happened, when Sarah left, I was really devastated because I had already lost a daughter to death. I had a daughter die. And when Sarah left, it felt very similar, like someone, because I know Jehovah's Witnesses. I know, this isn't going to work out. I'm not going to see her or hear from her until I come back. And I was doing some things I shouldn't be doing, chilling in my truck at like late at night. And I was watching some videos on Jehovah's Witnesses and come across Watchtower Examination, Winston. I don't know if you've heard of him.
Is he one of the governing body members?
No, he has a family member that's in Jehovah's Witnesses, so he does Watchtower Examination to prove it wrong.
Oh, he's like a YouTuber who does videos?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, I haven't
And
seen his videos.
he's pretty cool. Like he's from Jamaica. He's awesome. And I started watching his videos, and he was comparing their Bible to the King James Bible, and was showing like how much they messed up and took things away. So I started to realize that Jehovah's Witnesses are lying to me. And then there was an article that he put out about the governing body saying that they're infallible or something, and they can make mistakes. And I'm like, what do you mean you guys can make mistakes? Like, we have to obey you. Like, we have to listen to everything you say is from God. I don't understand. And so that blew my mind. And I'm sitting here like, wait a minute, what the hell's going on? Like, this is not okay. They're lying to me. And it was in that moment I realized that, wait a minute, we're listening to people. This isn't from God. Like, this is not right. So it really rocked my foundation. It was pretty wild.
And how old were you at this point?
This was in 2019. So I was 39 years old.
Okay. So basically you spent half of your adult life as a Jehovah's Witness, basically, like a good portion of it.
Oh yeah, I'm sixth generation. Like, my whole family, it goes back. My great grandmother, her father my great grandmother was born in like 1906 or 1909, and her father was born in the 1800s. He was part of the governing body, Samuel McWhorter, and he was with the International Bible Students. And so we go all the way back to the very beginning. They had pictures of Russell and Rutherford in their house that were donated to Bethel. They were very much into it, like 100%.
So at this
Yeah.
point, was your life kind of like shattered when you found out that when you had this realization?
Yeah, it was, because my whole life focused on what to do and what not to do in the Jehovah's Witness world. Like, everything was about them. Like, my music, my movies, my Pioneer car, my bank account, my job, my status as a mother, my identity, everything was Jehovah's Witnesses. And I was so proud to be one, because I felt like God chose me out of everybody and picked me to be in this special religion. And I felt so bad for everybody else. And when I found out that it was false, I just couldn't believe it. Like, it literally rocked me to my very core. Like, I remember picking up the kids from school the next day after that and just saying, Jehovah's Witnesses is not true. Jesus is not Michael the Archangel. Like, this is not what's happening. And they were like, really? And like, they had a sense of relief. Like, they knew it all along too, especially my younger two, because their dad had already gotten out, and he was kind of waiting on me to come around with the kids, because he didn't really like them coming to the Kingdom Hall. So yeah, it was devastating. And I went to go talk to my parents, and that was a pretty bad conversation. That did not go well. So yeah.
So what happens after you kind of have this realization, after you have to deconstruct your whole life? What kind of happened after that?
Yeah, I did. I was scared. I was scared for my daughter that had just went to live with my sister. And I didn't know how to get her back. And So I was trying to find her. I was trying to find out where she worked and to tell her the truth. But I didn't realize how brainwashed Jehovah's Witnesses were. I thought, I could see that article and I could wake up. So I thought maybe my daughter could or my mom and dad could. So I found out where she worked. We popped in, me and her sister, and she just starts screaming at us to leave. She doesn't want to hear it. She's so sold out that she doesn't even want to see me. And I haven't even seen her. I went to my mom and dad's and I was like, Dad, listen, this is not okay. This is what's going on. And I'm trying to show him. And he just points his finger to the door and he was like, leave and don't ever come back.
Jehovah's are so indoctrinated that anything that differs from their teaching is like apostate and is of the devil. So
Yeah.
you kind of have to wake up on your own. It's kind of what has to happen.
Yeah, that's so true. And I didn't realize that until later. And maybe I should have done things different. Like looking back now, I wish I had kind of just slowly backed out with them and like not been so abrupt. But I'm such a fighter and I like to stand up for people and I like to take care of people. So my instinct was to save them, like immediately just save them. And I didn't think about that.
I feel like that's a
So
natural instinct, though, is just to tell someone as soon as you find out
yeah.
something is false, or you've learned something new, is kind of to share it.
Mhm. Exactly. Yeah. I know I've talked to other people and they were like, if you were my daughter and you told me you didn't believe our religion was true, I'd sit down and talk with you. But Jehovah's Witnesses, they just want you to leave, like you say. They think we're demonized, that we're come in contact with the devil, almost like a disease, and that we're going to spread this infection to them. When really we're just trying to help them. And
Mhm.
they don't get it. They don't understand. I don't think they're ready for like their foundation to be undone like mine was. It is a personal awakening. You're right. That has to happen for
Mhm.
sure. Yeah.
So, you're at this point, like, you kind of have an awakening. Your family's kind of rejecting you. Were you still disfellowshipped at this point?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay,
And I started to become an apostate.
right.
Um,
Of course.
yeah, because I started going to the carts and I started my own YouTube channel and I started to break down articles and my husband, I married an ex Jehovah's Witness from California who was going to the carts as well. So he flew in from California. We got married, and I remember calling my mom, and I was like, "I'm marrying an expert in cults, and he's coming from California." Like I was so mad at her for what she did to my kids and my family, like trying to turn everyone against me, and she won't even tell me bye. I started to get mad at this point and then I'm going to the carts and I'm like, I'm trying to just totally break down their doctrines one by one and became pretty famous pretty quick. They started taking our picture. They would hand it out to the pioneers at the Kingdom Hall. We were labeled apostates and we were told they were told not to even speak with us. So they would see us coming and they would be like, "Oh, great! Here she comes." And
Right.
yeah, so
Kind of branded you as a
it
crazy
got bad pretty
apostate.
quick.
Gotcha. Kind of branded you as a
Oh yeah,
crazy
for sure.
apostate.
Yeah, and they would tell me that I'm bitter. Like, Laura, you're just bitter. Like on my YouTube channel, you'll see some of our cart encounters, and they get pretty mad pretty fast. So
Mhm.
it is what it is. But
So do you still
you
believe
know,
in God? What are we really saying now?
so yeah, I definitely believe in God. I believe that Jesus is God. That was something that was very profound in the scripture to me, and it made sense to me. Because I remember my relationship with God was as a child was very profound because I was messed with a lot as a kid. Like I don't know if you guys have like demonic experiences as children, but I know here in the South, like everyone that we know when we were growing up, we've had some kind of encounter with the spirit world. Um, I've
Probably,
been
I think
helped.
probably everyone probably has some sort of encounter with different
Yeah,
spirits. I would think, like, even though we kind of don't realize this, who knows?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, like I've been talked to and held down and told, I'm just here to scare you. I've seen them watch me like when I'm trying to sleep. I've been grabbed and scratched.
Now,
Like,
I have never had anything like that happen.
yeah, like these
Okay.
are really
Profound
like,
incidents.
yes,
Okay.
yes. A lot of sleep paralysis, able to like manipulate my dreams, like all kinds of bizarre things were happening to me. And it didn't start until I was this really young girl. I was like 4 or 5 years old, and this old man, this is a weird story. This old man came up to me on the street and he asked me if I wanted Jesus in my heart, if I wanted to give my life to Jesus. And I didn't even remember this story until later when I actually met Jesus, which is a whole nother story. But I said yes, and we prayed. Um, and he held my hands. And after that, like all these bizarre things started happening. Now, I'm not saying that I got saved, so to speak, or whatever at that moment, but I think that Jesus saw a little girl that was true and pure and really wanted to know him. And I think that I was being attacked not only because of my dad's drug abuse, that's demonic in itself and bringing it into the house, but because there was something there that the demons wanted to come up against. So when I was older, since I did lose that daughter, I would ask God and I would talk to him all the time. Why would you give your son? Like, I have one son. I have 5 girls and one son, right? And I would lay there in bed and I would ask him, why would you do that? Like, that didn't make sense to me. Because in Jehovah's Witness theology, like, he just murders his son for the sake of the world. Like, it seems kind of brutal. And
Mhm.
I didn't understand that God. That God did not make sense to me. But then when I started reading scriptures like Philippians 2, where Jesus says that he laid his life down for us, like he chose to do it. It was his prerogative to step aside and to do it for us because he loves us. That made sense to me. And then I realized, wait a minute, like everybody is trying to give you a different Jesus. And there was a scripture about that. Paul warns about a different Jesus and everything. So um, I remember waking up at 2 in the morning and having an encounter with him, with Jesus, and him telling me that, I'm his child. That was really awesome. And that's how I also met David, because I knew God. All of a sudden I knew about heaven and hell. Like no one had to explain it to me. It was like God just infused me with it. It was really strange. I know that sounds crazy. And I could see Jesus's face. Like when I closed my eyes and meditated on him, I could actually see him. And that had never happened before. And I could feel his presence. So I knew I met him. I know he's there. And the Jehovah's Witnesses, they make you feel like God is not available. Like they make you feel like God is silent. And the reason I brought up the demonic stuff is because I realized if the demons can reach out to me and mess with me, God can too. And he did. And he came to me. It was just very profound experience that I had. And I know a lot of people don't have that, but there are some that do. And that was just my experience. So yeah, I definitely believe in God. I love Jesus. Like he's my everything. he's he's the man.
So I spent a few minutes with Laura Payne. I want to thank you so much for sharing your story, Laura. So you still believe in God? What happened with your children? I guess what happened with the relationship with your children?
Well, uh, it's kind of chaotic. I wasn't the best mom. And so as I started to do better in Christ, I started to become a better mother. He helped change a lot of things. Because I was raised with a lot of yelling and screaming. Unfortunately, I did do that to my children as well. So I've mended some relationships especially with my oldest. So now we're like best friends, and I have a granddaughter, and she's amazing. So I get to spend a lot of time with her. Sarah is still gone. She's still living in the same town that she went to with my sister. She has left Jehovah's Witnesses, thankfully, but she's still not willing to communicate with me. I'm not really sure what was said, for those years that she was down there with my sister. But she knows that I love her. I've been able to get messages to her and write her a letter. So that's on the mend, even though we still don't communicate. My third daughter, Caitlin, she's doing really well. She had left not too long ago abruptly and had gone back to the witnesses and gotten married to a witness, but that quickly imploded. So she's out of it again, and she's actually living with Sarah, my daughter. So they're together. So I'm so glad they have each other. So that's really well. My other children still live with me at home, so that's good, and everything's going great there. I had one graduate this year, and I'm down to my son. So he's the only one left in school, and he's doing really well. So we get to celebrate birthdays, we get to celebrate Christmas. We're having a great time over here. It's a big deal. Like we've already, we thought about putting the Christmas tree up yesterday, and it's only August. we
Yeah, it's not even
we
September
actually
yet. It's not even Halloween.
I know. Like we're bypassing everything straight to Christmas. I've already got Christmas presents out ready to wrap. Um, it's a huge thing. Like we're trying to make up for lost time, and it's just a blessing to be able to see that freedom come into our home, and then to see my granddaughter like never have to know those problems, and to always have like just freedom to figure out what she wants to do with her life, and to give my kids freedom. I don't make my kids go to church with me. I get a lot of flack for that, but to me, like, it's their choice. I didn't
Right.
have a choice, and I want them to have choices. They know about God, and they know how I feel, and they do have a relationship with Jesus. But as far as going to church for them, that's very traumatic, and I accept that and I honor that. And so I don't force anyone to do anything they don't want to do. That's just not how that works. So um, freedom is a beautiful thing. It really is.
Yeah, as long as you have the choice, the free will that God gives us, we can experience that in our religious lives too, in our personal lives. That's all free will that we all have as human beings.
Exactly. Yeah, it's very important, and it's very important for kids to feel heard and to have a choice. I think.
Hmm.
I mean, I know they're kids and they need to be guided, but force is not love. Like you can't force that kind of stuff. So yeah,
Well, that's good
I
that
agree.
you have a relationship. You've been able to kind of mend things. Hopefully, things will continue to go in the right direction for you. So
Yeah.
in the email when we were corresponding, you indicated that you were clean and sober. So at some point, did
Yeah.
you have issues like your father with drugs and alcohol?
I did, yeah. Especially when my kids were younger, I did lose them for quite a while, and I went into rehab. Well, went into rehab at 18 before I had any kids. I was already into drugs at 18, right before I got pregnant with my first child. Um, there was some traumatic things that happened, and I figured out that's how my dad coped. So I felt like that's how I was going to cope. I grew up around it my entire life. So I
So
knew,
it's what you knew was normal to you. So yeah.
yeah, yeah, for me, it was like, no, it's fine. Like my dad sold drugs. So I knew all his friends, and it was no big deal.
Your dad smoked a doobie before the Kingdom Hall meeting when he got reinstated. So come on, what do you expect?
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And so then I was clean for a long time. And then I think when my oldest was probably around 9 or 10, I had a relapse, and I told my dad about it, and thinking because he's the cool ex drug dealer, so I thought he would be. I was like, hey, my daughter took my drug test for me. They let me bring in my daughter, and she went in the cup for me, and I passed, but I'm really not clean. And then he told the worker what I had said, and I lost my kids for 62 days. So yeah, and they went to him, which was funny, him and my mom. And so I brought up all the abuse that he put me and my sister through, and like, you're going to give my kids to them. And the worker was like, well, it's either that or foster care. So I just went ahead and went with it. But I got clean after that. But then like I did smoke weed for a very long time. I don't really well, I know weed is a drug, but for some of us who have a lot of like PTSD and bipolar
Weed,
disorder,
weed is more of a herb to me. I look at it like
yeah,
it's a plant.
It is like it's hard to figure that one out for me. Like I used it for many years.
Hmm.
But then I guess like the more I had teenagers, I was like, well, if I can't really deal with reality, how do I expect them to? So for me, like that was my conscious moment. I was like, well, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. So
Right.
yeah, so I finally got clean March of last year.
Congratulations
So
on it.
yeah, of everything. So that's a big deal for somebody who's been doing that for years. And when I say years, I mean every day, all day for years. That's a big deal for me.
It's huge.
Yeah, it is because that's how I cope with life. It chilled me out and it helped me deal with my anxiety and all my PTSD. And now I've got to face the music. So it's been hard, but I feel like
Hmm.
I'm really maturing a lot. It's very helpful. And
Probably learning a lot. Probably learning a lot about yourself as well.
yeah, and we
Mhm.
started therapy. Like I literally went to therapy yesterday just to do this video because
Really?
yeah, like when I got your email, I was just really, it's very hard for me to talk about Jehovah's Witnesses. I know it seems natural as I'm talking, but normally I'm not this fast. I don't talk this fast. But yeah, it is very nervous because it's like walking into, she was like, why is it going to be so hard for you tomorrow? And I told her it's like your worst nightmare that you can ever imagine, and you have to open the door and walk back in it.
Yeah.
And I have to see that little girl that was abused, and I have to see my mom and my dad putting that gun to her head, and like the neighbors watching but no one ever helping us. Like I have to feel all that again, and it's very difficult. So I almost didn't do this interview, but I felt like it was important because I've never really talked a lot about my childhood. Um, and I pushed it away. But now I think now that I'm trying to heal a lot of different parts of me, like it's very important because I think this is the story that really needs to be told because I know I'm not a one of. I know I'm one of many, and we're victims of victims. Like
Yeah.
there's so many of us, and there's so many out there that had it worse than I did. And I just wanted to be encouraging to those people, like you're going to be okay. It's gonna take time, but you're going to be okay. You're going to make it, and you can overcome this, even though it seems like why. Like you're always asking, why did this have to happen to me? Why did I have to go through this? And I think it's because you needed that story because somebody else is going to have it, and I need to be able to tell someone else who had that story that look, you can overcome your dad's torture, your dad's alcoholism, your dad's cocaine use. Like um, a, it, it is possible. Suicidal thoughts, all those tendencies. I've known 3 people in my congregation alone as a teenager that killed themselves.
Yep. It's the disfellowshipping is real. Like it really affects
It
people
is.
psychologically. It's traumatic.
It really is. Yeah.
And I was interviewing another gentleman, David Horn, recently, and he said that he talked to his father about it, and his father, who was an elder, said that it's natural to feel suicidal. So, yeah, it's very detrimental. That I can't see how
Yeah.
anything can come good out of shunning.
No, not at all. And I think that's why they're trying so hard to revamp the rules because they know if they don't, then something worse is going to happen than them trying to please this government over here or wherever they're in trouble now. Um, yeah, and I mean it's 2025. If you're still a Jehovah's Witness in 2025, what are you doing? Like I know in the 80s and 90s they got away with murder because nobody had a cell phone and nobody had Google and
Nobody
nobody
had
had
YouTube,
YouTube.
right?
Yeah, but this is 2025. Wake up. Like the research, it's out there. Like go look. Like go look at your governing body. I don't even understand how they can listen to those men in the broadcasting. Like that's so weird to me, the way that they talk. Like I just want to
Isn't it though?
scream
They
at
all
the
have such a
TV.
stylized way of talking.
This is JW Broadcasting. Like, oh my gosh, I just want to I know this is YouTube and I can't say what I want to say, but these people, and then like when they come up with a new rule, they're like the governing body has decided. Okay, so right there, they're telling you that you're listening to them, not Jehovah. They never
Mhm.
say Jehovah has decided. They always say the governing body has decided. And I remember when I was like, I think 2013, they were talking about go bags, and they were like doing these little prep things at the meetings. Theocratic Ministry School, like, we're going to do a go bag scene and put on an alarm, and everyone's going to grab their bag and make sure you have everything ready and do what the governing body tells you to do. And I remember thinking, looking at my 5 kids, thinking, if they're going to tell me anything like drink the Kool-Aid like Jonestown, no,
That's not going to happen.
that's not going to happen. But that's what they literally, that's the mindset of these people. They will do it.
Yeah.
That's why you have, okay, that's why you have so many people. You'll see a news article about a Jehovah's Witness dad that like took out his whole family and all the kids because they literally believe from Romans 6 that the wages of sin is death, that they take that to such an extreme, they kill themselves and their whole family to pay off the sin debt. That's psychotic.
Yes, tragic.
It is tragic. So these are wonderful people that are being misled, and we love them and we want to help them. I'm not here to say you're awful. They're awful people. I know they're wonderful people, most of them, not the abusive people, but the ones who really do care, you
And a lot of
know.
them are honestly just trying to serve God the way that they believe they should. I mean, a lot of witnesses. And
Yeah.
I still have friends back home in California where I'm from who are witnesses, and I never got this fellowship. So I've always kind of established, maintained relationships. But I don't
Yep.
talk to them about religion. They just know that I kind of am not in it anymore. But it's so
Right.
so interesting to see how they're still under that spell.
Yeah, they are. They sure are. And if you're an elder's child, you can get away with a lot of things. Like, they know how to maneuver that elder's book. I had a lot of family that was in it, and my cousin, like, he would go to bars and sleep with all these different women. His dad was like the CEO of the congregation or whatever, the overseer, like back when they had overseers. And
Like
he would
presiding
just,
overseer.
yeah, he would tell his son, well, just don't say anything. And then in about 10 years, you can have an elders meeting, get it off your chest. And then in 10 years, they don't have to be disfellowshipped if it's been like a certain amount of time. So
Loopholes.
yeah, they know the loopholes for their kids, but then like I'll go smoke a cigarette and it's I'm disfellowshipped, you know.
Right.
So something stupid. But
So what do you think about all the changes? I guess recently it's now okay to go to college. Witnesses can wear beards. Women can wear pants to meetings.
right.
Brothers don't have to wear. There've been a gang of changes. What do you make of all the changes?
You know, to be honest, I think they're really adapting to the world, to be honest. They say they're no part of this world. They say they're not worldly. They're adapting to the world. They're becoming worldly because they have to. Because if they don't, then they look like Little House on the Prairie, and nobody's going to go to an Amish congregation, to be honest with you. Like, that's how I feel. Like,
Mm,
they're going to have women come in, executive women who want to wear pants and not a dress, who has a lot of money, maybe a doctor, and yeah, we'll accept her donations of $300-400 a week to let her wear pants in the Kingdom Hall. I really think it's trying to fit in, to be honest,
mm.
because they know their numbers are not, they're doing damage control. They're in trouble. I don't believe any of the numbers that I see online. I think it's worse than we can ever imagine. I think, which is good. I think for them it's worse, you know, because they're losing a lot of people, and a lot of people are waking up. Back just 6 years ago, when I would look at the video, I could hardly find any. Now I'll watch one of your videos and I'll look underneath, there'll be like 7 or 8 different channels, different Jehovah's Witnesses, and I'm like, whoa, everybody's coming out.
Mm.
Grandmas are coming out, like people in their 80s are coming out. They're tired of it. They're tired of the governing body. They're waking up.
I was just on TikTok as well. Looks the whole community there. Like there's communities of people who are speaking out now and who are waking up. Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. I started a Telegram, ex Jehovah's Witnesses on Telegram. And I already have like 100 and something subscribers. And I just did it like a few weeks ago. And because there's not any on Telegram, there's like 2.
Hmm.
So I put your videos up and I just share YouTube videos of people all the time, and I'll get 85 views. Everybody's watching these videos and they want to
Yeah.
know what's going on. Why are people leaving? where did our family go is what I
Right.
think people are thinking, like, why did they leave?
So speaking of that, do you have a relationship with any of your family, like your parents or anybody who is outside of your children?
No, nope, they will not talk to me. My uncle died. He was not a witness, but he was my mom's brother. I went to the funeral about 8 months ago, and I went up to my mother. They're all Jehovah's Witnesses on that side. So, like, everybody was a Jehovah's Witness. The people who were serving the tea, the people that were doing the food, like, there was 80 or 90 Jehovah's Witnesses there. Um, and so I walked in, and I have long hair now, and it's highlighted. I've never had highlights. I hugged my mother. She put her arms around me and didn't know who I was. She didn't recognize me. And
Wow.
then she looked up at me and she went like that. And I was like, "Hi, Mom." She didn't even speak to me. She just walked away. And I was like, wow. Like, you literally could have taken 20 seconds to say, "Hi, Laura." Like, um, and my mom's not doing good. She's 72. She's about to have double knee replacement. She lives on a 25-acre farm. So me and my kids would go out there and like help her manage the farm all the time. I had all these kids. She had so much help. She really like did damage to herself. Now she has no one. My sister's not really allowed to go over there because my dad still loses his temper.
Mm.
And so her husband tells her not to go over there without him. He's an elder. So I'm really not sure how my mom's going to do, as she gets older. She's not going to have anybody, and it's very sad.
It is.
It is. So I feel for them. Like, I love them, and I feel, even though my dad treated us horribly, I love them, and I care for them. And I don't know, maybe one day, who knows?
Well, they are still your parents, so you still have that affection for them, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. Even
Mhm.
though it was hard, I mean, and it is a really weird thing that somebody who abused you shuns you. Like, that's a whole nother level of difficulty.
Right.
Like, and that was something I brought out to the therapist yesterday, and I started crying, which I never cry. And I was like, that's just a whole nother kind of evil. Like, I don't get it. So
So we're almost out of time now, but I have some common questions I like to ask all my guests. The first
sure.
one being, what would be your definition of a spiritual awakening?
My definition of
Or
spiritual
an
awakening.
awakening, or awakening for Jehovah's Witness.
Ooh,
Either one.
yeah, I think ooh, my definition of spiritual awakening would be, man, somehow waking up to reality. Like, I'm so grateful that I had that moment where I wasn't being mind controlled. I wasn't worried about the organization. I just wanted to know the truth. So I think I chose reality over what they were saying for once. I did go to college, by the way. That was very helpful. I missed that in the story, but I have 7 years of college after being, let go at the sixth grade. I had to go to the literacy council. It was a deal, but I got 7 years of college, got all that in, and I did have some thinking skills finally, and I chose reality. So I think the seeds of awakening for me was just finally not looking through those rose colored glasses, but just, what is reality? What are we really looking at here? So that was
Mm,
helpful.
Good
Yeah.
answer. Next question is, what's the most valuable lesson that you've learned so far in life?
Wow.
I should have warned you, these are not easy questions.
Well, the first thing that came to my mind was that we should have unconditional love, but then the thought was, but sometimes love is conditional with Jehovah's Witnesses. And that really hurts to say that.
Mhm.
That was a huge lesson. To I could never shun my children. I don't know how my mother does it. I've nursed these babies on my body. I've changed their diapers. I would have laid my life down for my children. To have my mother choose for me to be dead to her over talking to me, like, she literally thinks I'm dead. that's okay. Like, I don't get it. Like, I could never choose death for my child. And my mom literally chooses that. And all I want to do is tell her goodbye. Like, I've left voice messages for her and I've told her, like, Mom, can I just tell you goodbye? Can we just talk? Like, we don't have to have a relationship, but I need a goodbye. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I could never do that
Mm-hmm.
to my child ever. It's
Yeah,
not okay.
it's tough.
It is. It is. It's damaging. It's life changing. Yeah, it is.
Laura,
It's
so
hard.
if you were talking to a person who was maybe in a high control environment, or they were kind of talking, you were kind of like, maybe you're having a spiritual awakening, what kind of advice would you give to them, whether witness or otherwise?
Wow. To look outside the box. Like, don't forget that sometimes you're in a bubble, and that bubble can be unhealthy, and that you need to really look outside the box and take some perspective every now and then, and like really use discernment to tell yourself, is this healthy? Like, is this promoting healthy environment for me? Like, can I speak to my children? Can I do research? Can I critically think? Can I go to school? Can I have a good job? Like, God wants you to work. God wants you to do good things with your hands. He wants you to create. He wants you to love your family. He wants you to use the mind that he gave you. And when someone's telling you, don't do this, this, and this, like, something's wrong. So you really need to take a step back and, figure out, like, is this right for me? Like, really investigate what's happening without just accepting it. It's, because everybody else is accepting it. Like, that's how my mom was. Like, my great grandmother was like the nicest person on the planet, and I think she thought, this can't be wrong because this woman is so nice to me. Someone's finally loving me. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Yeah.
So, Laura, do you have a YouTube channel? Any way people can connect with you if they want to learn more about you or want to talk to you about your story?
Yeah, my YouTube channel is my username, XJW Laura. You can find me on YouTube. I haven't posted a whole lot lately. I've been, like I said, really healing, really spending a lot of time with my granddaughter, who's 3, and she is the love of my life. She's amazing, and I want her to have the best life that she can possibly have, and I'm making sure that that happens as much as I can as a grandmother. She is so spoiled. She has me wrapped around her finger. She knows she can get whatever she wants, and she's the most adorable, precious child. So, yeah, you can find me on XJW Laura, but I'm probably going to be with my grandbaby for a while because she's only 3. So I'm not really posting a whole lot of videos. Plus, I have a teenage son who's in high school, so that's complicated. But eventually, I am going to do more videos. So, but you can look at the ones I've already done. I've done a lot of cart crashes. They're kind of funny. We have one sister we call If You Must, because that's what she says all the time when we ask her if we could show her something. She'll go, If You Must. So those are funny.
It took me a second to figure out you were saying cart, like the carts where the witnesses do their proselytizing. Now
Yes.
that's okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
cart crashing. Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, Laura, I appreciate you sharing your story with me. I know you had some anxiety about coming out here publicly and talking about your childhood, but hopefully it will touch someone and it will reach who it needs to reach, and will
I hope
inspire
so.
people and help people who are maybe waking up from this situation. So thank you so much for spending some time with us.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. You're amazing. Thank you.